How could it hurt? It was only a coffee. The local place, the Cozy Crust. They were to meet at 4 p.m. She'd probably bump into people she knew. Nothing to hide. But it all happened so quickly. She hadn't time to think. Richard was new at the office, tall, dark and handsome. Whilst Melanie was waiting to use the photocopier, they'd shared a joke or two, and he invited her there and then. "Early close today," he'd remarked. "Yes, can't wait. I've had enough already," Melanie responded. "Fancy a coffee after we finish? We could go to the Cozy Crust." "Yes, that would be lovely, thanks," Melanie replied without even thinking about it. She found him very attractive, and this had clearly shut down her conscious critical faculty. It was noisy at the cafe, and they had to sit close, side by side, in order to hear each other clearly. Melanie caught a scent. She wasn't sure if it was aftershave or just his perfect natural smell. She was very attracted to this man. "How long have you been married then?" Richard asked, gazing at Melanie's ring. 14 years, she replied, without elaboration. "You're not smiling?" he queried. "There aren't many surprises after such a long time. Things get pretty routine." Was she giving him the come-on? Was this too much information so early on in a conversation? And was this way too forward of him? "What about you? Are you married?" "I was." "And?" "She died." "Oh my God, sorry." "It's okay. I think I'm over it, except—" Richard paused just long enough for Melanie to take over. "Except what?" "It's always hard at this time of year." "Sorry, Richard, I'm not quite with you." "It would have been our anniversary next Friday, and we always went out for dinner. It's about the only time I get really lonely, and a bit low, actually." It seemed as if Richard was waiting for her to say something. She felt a little uncomfortable, but the silence was broken by Richard gesturing to a waitress. They had been so preoccupied that neither of them had thought of ordering. Was he as attracted to her as she was to him? "What would you like?" he asked, clearly taking control of the situation. "Cappuccino, please." "Me too. And what about some cake?" "I'll share yours. You order." "Carrot cake, please, and 2 cappuccinos," Richard ordered politely. "That's my favourite," she smiled. Conversation just flowed so easily with this man. At home, with Ben, everything seemed to be tinged with blame, judgment, and criticism. She was tired of all that. She had wanted a child for many years, and at 38, she was worried this might never happen. "I always dine on my own on our anniversary. Do you think that's making it worse for myself?" he asked. "Gosh, I don't know. I can see why you would, and I can also see why perhaps you shouldn't. I know this is outrageous of me, but as a new friend, would you come for dinner with me that night?" "Would your husband mind? I mean, shh," Melanie found herself saying. "Of course I will. Ben won't even notice." "What do you mean? Wouldn't you tell him?" "We're like sister and brother. We can do whatever we like, whenever we like," Melanie lied, chastising herself for being a little too available. "Next Friday, Brett's place, at 8 p.m? "Sure, but I'll see you at work tomorrow." "Oh yeah, work," he joked. 3 sleeps to go, she thought, hardly able to wait to see Richard at work. Lying in bed that night, Ben taking ages in the bathroom as usual, she found some private moments to indulge her fantasy of what it might be like if Richard was beside her right there and then. Climax turned to anticlimax when Ben returned, climbed into bed, switched his bedside light off and turned away from her without so much as a good night. Melanie only saw Richard once over the next couple of days. He was talking quite intensely with one of the younger secretaries. Was he flirting with her? She felt a momentary pang of jealousy, then rationalised it by telling herself she could hardly mind this when she herself was a married woman. On Friday evening, she took much longer than usual to get ready. Ben was downstairs watching the football, so he wouldn't even notice the additional makeup, the new dress, the visit to the hairdresser after work. "I may be back late, Ben," she called while slipping out. "Whatever," he replied, eyes not diverting from the screen. Richard was waiting outside the Red Lion. He'd texted her to meet him for a drink before dinner. Maybe he's trying to get me drunk, she thought hopefully. "What are you having?" he asked her. "The same as what you're having," she joked, though he didn't seem to understand her meaning. "You want a pint of bitter?" he queried. No thanks. Actually, I'll have a glass of red, preferably Merlot." She chose to sit in a corner, like a secret lover, whilst he ordered the drinks. When he returned, she was smiling, and he'd noticed, raising one of his handsome eyebrows. "Well?" he inquired. "It's just that this is such a forgotten pleasure," she answered. "How so, dearest?" he flirted. "Being treated with such respect, such attention, and, well, care." "Melanie, I'm incredibly attracted to you," he blurted out. "Well, I don't know what we're going to do about that, do you?" she teased. "Perhaps we can miss dinner." "Oh, Richard, don't be so forward," she laughed. "Besides, I'm starving. Drink up." Further pleasant conversation ensued on the short walk to Brett's place, with more than the odd sexual innuendo. "Can we just look at the menu outside first?" Richard asked. "No problem." As Richard began to look at the menu, Melanie peered through the window and was flabbergasted to find Ben sitting opposite a beautiful woman. 3 thoughts passed through her mind. Firstly, that bloody woman was more attractive than her. Secondly, she was younger. And thirdly, was this a coincidence, or perhaps Ben had been reading her texts? Lost in thought, she hardly noticed that Richard was entering the restaurant. What should she do? Run away? Face the music? Wait further down the street for Richard to come and find her? She chose the latter, standing under a street light about 10 yards away. A few minutes passed, and then she saw a waiter walking towards her with a red rose. "Madam, your gentleman friend sends this, and has ordered our best Merlot. Let me accompany you inside. We pride ourselves on having the best romantic atmosphere in town." He took her by the arm, and Melanie could hardly refuse. She was amazed to see Richard sat at the very same table as Ben and that woman. Everyone looked rather uncomfortable, and yet already acquainted. "Sit down, darling," Ben called sarcastically. "Let me introduce everyone. Oh, I mean you know everyone, except Sarah. Sarah is Richard's wife."